like how we can take one element of it and particular element. Maybe erasing it. Yeah, even that will do. Actually, yeah. So we will go with Clash of Clans because I hope that is Clash of Clans and not Cash of Clans, because I don't know if there's a game called Cash of Clans. Yeah, there's no game. I think it was meant to be Clash of Clans. And yeah, I'm looking at responses. I'll just share my screen, my entire screen instead, so that you can see what I'm doing. And yeah, basically, yeah, I'm just looking for references of how we can replicate a single player type of Clash of Clans. So I'm just so let's start by what do you say, making a small village kind of scenario. So I'll just use white boxes in this game that we're going to create instead of using actual assets. It's better that way to just conceptualize any kind of game. And so I'll just create some cubes, and also we'll be requiring isometric style of camera. So I'll just bring the camera to here and press Ctrl Shift F and change it to orthographic. So that will be something of that view. Maybe I'll change the X rotation a little bit more and something like that. And change it to a solid color and maybe make it black. So let's say this town hall. We're not exactly making a Clash of Clans still because I haven't actually. I forgot what does the town hall do and how you place things in the grid. But I think we can do the grid system, maybe only the grid system, and make units and place them over the grid. So let's quickly place some tiles around the map that are, let's say, 0.1 in scale. And let's say that is our first tile. And we'll be using tiles for the entire game. And isometric tile-based system is very complex. Usually, if you're, especially if you're making something like pathfinding, like which is very complex for this type of games. There are several YouTubers who actually try to make plugins for isometric style games so that like it becomes easier for developers. And I'm gonna call this tile, and I'll just quickly duplicate this around the map. So we have 3 of them, and I'm gonna duplicate it like that. So now if we select all of them, you can see a 3x3 kind of grid, and like that. And these tiles are the only tiles that will be be taking our input. Is my audio clear? Or is there too much noise? Okay, thank you. So I'll just quickly select all the tiles and add a tag. Let's say something like tile. And I'll choose all the tiles and change them to tile. And also add a layer for the tiles because we want to take input from the mouse only in this layer. So layers help us choose only specific. So slowly increase the height by very little, 0.001 maybe, or 0.01, so that we can get the mouse input. And these tiles are usually prefabs. Whenever we spawn a map element, we'll also spawn it along with the tile. So that way we can hover over any tile and it will be selected. So I'll just go to Playmaker and add a finite state machine. And in this, I'll just check mouse. And let's say mouse pick event. And this is the what do you say, on hover kind of event. If you're from if you're using C#, it's mouse over. And here I'll test if the if we are using prefabs, we don't need to test because it's only one one particular prefab being spawned everywhere. But that might that will impact the performance. But for now, I'm just using this kind of method. Usually, what happens is you take the mouse cursor and go the other way around and check if your mouse cursor is pointing towards a what do you say, tile, and then highlight that. Instead of that, I'll just use something like an event to highlight this. And this will basically change my material. So I'll just add a material and call it tile and duplicate it and call it tile highlighted and put these in the materials. So I'll just quickly add. So if you want to add materials to, can you mimic a grass-like texture? I mean, like we just need to get what do you say? Get this kind of texture and just paste it over a image. I think that and repeat it properly. Then we can have this. But yeah, we can do that. I think for the purposes of this video, we can use something that is made in GIMP or even that. I'll just open Blender and see if we can generate a texture like that. So in Blender, I'll just go to the image editor and create a new. Actually, we will just create texture, and there's going to be, let's say, noise. So this has noise, but it is like very mild, and it is stretched in the y-axis, z-axis if you're using Blender. So more like FIFA, they added wind animations. Do you mean like actual physics, like 3D model where 3D model of the grass, and it is having a impact because you're using wind in the game? I think Unity's terrain system has the Unity's terrain system by default. You can add a wind. What do you say? Wind system, wind zone, and if you create grass on the terrain, it automatically picks up the physics of it. So in that way, you can do it. And if you find if you can find a lot of YouTube tutorials on like how to simulate that. But for now, I think we'll just use a green, what is it, grass material. Just put it all over the place. And yeah, coming back to tiles. So here we are going to set the material. So the material will be material tile highlighted, and tile highlighted can be something like that, or we can just like do a darkened version of it like that. So just keep that, and I'll give it back the tile texture. And this tile texture will be the same as the grass color. And this is completely different from this one. So I'll just change this. And now if I hit play, we should see that when we hover on this tile, it becomes dark. But when we hover off, it should reset back to reset back to the original material. I have no idea if they render each blade of glass. I think that will be like really performance heavy. I'm not sure. So I'll just do another mouse pick event and then mouse off, and this will revert me back to the first state. And in here, I'll just set the material back to the normal tile texture, tile material. And now let's move the player a little, the building a little far. So now we can see we have this input working. And this can be our first prefab of the game. And similarly, where you have tile and you'll need something like a plane to accompany it because this is not the entire um, what do you say geometry, and this also has um, procedural generation. What do you say? Choices that you can make. Something like give it a rock kind of texture and make the player move less faster in those particular areas, something like that. So that can be one variant of strategy isometric kind of games. But yeah, like I'll just add a lot of tiles here, and we'll just concentrate on um, getting our game mechanics, like placing the building and generating resources from it without actually giving much, what do you say, attention to performance. So that way, and we can also create a UI which is enlarge it so that I will just create an empty game object and put all the tiles inside. This will be my map. Now, if I scale it, will be scaled evenly. And now we can over on most of them. And let's say we had a list of buildings that we could build, and those would be showed in our UI. And let's just create a fake, simple UI where we need to choose between different buildings, and we can possibly place them according to our preference. So here I got one image. I'll just create a panel so that, or we can just put the images inside this image, or we can do any way we want. And I'll just go to the 2D view and enlarge this. And I'll just create a button for each individual building that I'm going to have. Let's say this button is for let's say town hall, and we can change this town hall. Usually this is not the case where you have the actual buildings as a button, but that can be changed by changing the image. And it could do a vertical layout as well to organize things properly. And the second, let's say we want to build a turret, something like that. And And we'll also use something which is which places the building on the tile so that we can visualize it before even placing the building. So that happens in a lot of strategy games, Age of Empires or Settlers, but it's completely 2D. It's a very old game, and yeah. So when we are highlighting the tile, we also need to check which tile is being highlighted, and we can set game object. This is something like a public variable that like global variable that we can set, and let's say selected tile or forward tile for that matter. And I'm going to get the owner of this FSL, which is this game object, and make it the forward type. Yeah, I think this actually is required. And once we go back to this particular state, I think it automatically changes the forward type. I'll just quickly open up Playmaker's global variables and we can see this in real time. So I'll just hit play. And you can see the tile being updated in here. So now we have access to what tile is being hovered on. And then we can get the and then we can get the location of the tile and place the skeletal version of our building. So for the building, I'll just quickly make something. Let's make something like this, or we can make something like this. The town hall itself, and it'll be pretty basic, and this will be like a little fast. So don't mind if I'm reducing the quality by a lot. And actually, we only needed to extrude it a little bit, and after that, once we extruded it, we can just take these two faces and extrude our marbles, and maybe add a mirror modifier instead of doing all that work. So we can go to wireframe mode and select all the faces. And then we have the mirror modifier. Then we have this particular We also need to enable flipping when if we are making like that. This is just for like a quick use, and let's do another. And it looks more of a Japanese style building. And we have this chimney on one side, so I'm gonna quickly apply this mirror modifier and use only one side of it. So that will be town hall for now, but we can still make some changes. Something like that. And I think that will do. I'll just export this as OBJ and we can also delete the piece. Vertices which are not used basically and are useless. And let's export it as a OBJ file and selection only, and I'll just post it to desktop, call it. And now I just have to bring in into the folder called models. I'll just import a new asset. This will be my town hall OBJ. So let's go to the map. And looks like it's too big. The scale is too big. And but that's fine. Like we can set the scale accordingly. If we are looking at I think that's the model size, the actual model size. Yeah, so now that's done. We can also check if the rotation is right. The rotation that we need is minus 180 or 180 for that matter. So I'll just use this button and spawn this particular prefab. So first of all, we need a prefab to begin with. And I'll just choose so that we don't need it. And I'll just create an empty game object and back this prefab and maybe bring it to a size of 0.3 on all actions. Now we have this game object. That we can spawn anywhere on any tile, and it's going to be our second prefab in the game. So I'll just put it here. And let's delete it from this. Now what we need to do is go to the canvas and make the functionality of using this particular button. So scan button. And this will be an on-click event. We can use this through Playmaker. And we need something like an empty game object with a finite state machine on it so that we can spawn this particular prefab. So I'll just create an empty object and I'll just call this spawn manager, something like that. And for this, I'll just create an FSM and I'll make a new state. And this state is going to get a transition from the first state, and it doesn't have any actions. Like the only way to reach the second state is through that button. So when we click the button, it sends an event from this first state to the second state. I'll just show you how that works. So this is going to be something like spawn building, and we can just add a transition. And now that we have this, it doesn't mean that when I start the game, it will directly go from state 1 to state 2. So you can see it if I start the game. It will still be in state 1 all the time because it has no instructions to go to state. And let's call it init and the second state. We'll just call it spawn. And now when I go to the building and I'll pull the spawn manager and go to Playmaker FSM. And we have a little scary stuff here, but all we need is to send an event. And this is going to be the name of that event. And the name is basically something which we created. It's called spawn building. We just need to make sure that it doesn't have any different spelling. And now if I hit play, and if I click on Town Hall, then goes to this state. So now if we hover, we just need to get the building to that particular place. And here we can do another thing, which is setting the Town Hall material to something transparent. That's how usually games like Age of Empires do it. When you're building something, if you want to place it somewhere, it will be half transparent and half visible. And yeah, that is just to visualize where you want that building to be. And since this is a grid-based system, it is more easy to not, make a lot of buildings in one place. But in Age of Empires, it usually happens. And I'll just create a variant of this particular Town Hall prefab, and I'll just call it Town Hall Ghost for fun purposes. And this one is going to have the material of, let's create a new material, and this is going to be transparent. This is color text, and this is going to be fade, and maybe like 50. And when I pull this ghost texture onto the default, it should be half transparent, like that. I'm just making sure. Like, can you hear me? Is it is it getting boring, or should I continue or change the topic? Just getting feedback midstream. Okay. Yeah, I forgot about that. Like we can use something to move the camera around, like WASD keys, or like the corners of the screen, how normal strategy games do that. But yeah, we can do that using Playmaker. So I'll just quickly change, make this another prefab, and prefab variant. Yeah. So if now we have a prefab variant, which is this one, and it has a ghost material attached to it, and let's leave it at 50. I think that looks good. We can also change the material to some color, because it might be something like green. Usually it's green, and green indicates that you can place it, and red indicates that you can't place it because there's something obstructing that particular place. You can do that based on obstacles. We don't have obstacles right now, but we can do that. Yeah, this is basically I'm thinking for mobile, because it doesn't need any, like, something like Clash of Clans doesn't need you to actually move the camera that much. Maybe if maybe if you're like navigating around, but that will be just a delta touch kind of variable. So I'll just quickly change this to something like that, and maybe even make it even more lighter. And I think that should do for now. So I'll just delete both the prefabs. And as a spawn manager, we can create object, and this object will be our town hall ghost variant, and this will be spawned on the global variable over time. So let's see if this works for now. But this also needs to be created when we actually click on it. So we'll just wait for a click in between. So let's get mouse down, and this will be our left click. And otherwise, we can do something like touch object event, which is for mobile. But for now, I'm just using the mouse input. We can just use a finish state. And now it should, let's so I got my map. I want to create my town hall, and if I click, it is found, but it is, the position is off, and also it should show the object, the ghost object here, instead of what do you say? Yeah, there is some offset for the position. Let's make it 1 on the right and see if it's fitting properly. And also I'll change the position of the town hall ghost. I mean town hall ghost variant. I'll just call this placeholder. This placeholder. Will be placed on top of the hover tile. So I'll just get the hover tile global variable, and yeah, I'll just get that one and set the position in this vector, P3 for now, and also add an offset. I think this adds an offset. Let's add 1 on it, and this is going to be every frame. Now let's try and see if it works. So my hover is working fine, and we have this working, but I can see that there is some sort of gap, which is too much. If I go to the town hall ghost variant, it is at 1, but we don't need 1. We will need 0.3. Let's just see if 0.3 works. I think 0.35 should be a number. So I'll just copy this and come out of the play mode. And in here, this will be my new offset. Town hall, and then we have this particular hovering action. But if we don't have any hover type, we can turn this off, and that is just some bug fixing. Yeah, if we click on it, it should place it, but it should not place this particular prefab. So we can create that here, and this is going to be our original town hall prefab, and this is going to be the place where the hover tile is, exactly there. And we are going to remove the previous object that we created, which is just the placeholder. So I'll just get the placeholder and destroy it before I put the actual one. And then we have uh, one particular mechanic of how we can make a strategy game. And you can add effects like smoke coming out of the ground when you place it, because it is a building, and that will be really nice. So let's just do a particle system. In the meantime, you can ask any questions um, if you're having any regarding Playmaker community. I'll be happy to answer those. And yeah, so I just quickly change the duration to, let's just say, 1. And this will be a lot of particles in a cone kind of shape. And this is going to be around the building that we place. And it should be affected by gravity, so I'll just make it 1. And the size of the particles can be really small. And maybe we'll change the add trials. And this trials can have some sort of black material. Yeah, default particle system. This is just to fill that gap. So I'll just maybe use a gray kind of texture, maybe increase the size. Does that look like smart? I have no idea. But yeah, you can use something like this one, which reduces over time. And this is going to be only one time. It's not a looping animation, so let's play something like that. So this can be increased, however, be really fast instead of something like that. Also works. That is too dark. It seems like I have to let more less dark, and we can add a lot of elements and play with the particle system. If you're looking to learn particle system, there's a channel called Mirza. Let's show. And this is one of the best channels that you can find particle systems for. He does all sorts of VFX. Which are really good. And there is a portal kind of effect somewhere too. I'll just go with that one, and I'll just save this as a prefab and just spawn it once when I place the balloon, where I place it. And that can be done by duplicating this small and over tile the same place. And I'm not gonna store this. And I will save and let's just test that one out. And we'll wrap up the stream for today. So I'll just click on Town Hall. Now I have post prefab and the hover mechanic. And when I place it, there's a particle system. It looks very bad, but yeah, if we use a texture, usually what we do is use something from GIMP operator, and there's a noise texture that you can create. With an alpha, if you search Unity, then you'll get compatible, something like this one. And this can be used to even fake fog inside Unity, and it's a really performance saving alternative. So if you have any questions, let me know and I'll be happy to answer them. Yeah. Thank you. So by the way, Playmaker is not what do you say? It is not free, but it is really worth purchasing it. I've purchased it I think 2 years back, and I started game development only through Visual Scripting. Are there more tools like this out there? Yeah, there are. I mean, like Unity recently acquired Bolt. What is that? Yeah, Bolt Visual Scripting and Playmaker for Unreal. I think like Blueprints is the only alternative. Earlier, they used to have UScript. UScript used to be both for Unreal as well as Unity. But then I think UScript, I don't know if it's still there. UScript asset store. But then, like, you can do a lot using blueprints in general. Yeah, UScript is probably removed. Not sure. Okay, that's yeah. I don't think UScript is still there. Even Code Monkey has tutorials on the visual scripting that is different from Bolt. If you look up Udemy visual scripting, Code Monkey, then you'll get this course, which is, I think it's really worth it to learn. And this one is completely free. It might be a little harder than Playmaker. Playmaker is really easy to learn, but I think there were some really good games made by Playmaker. I think if you go to Hutong Games, Hutong Games is the publisher for Playmaker, and you can see their Shori. I think they recently updated it as well. Hearthstone, there's a crazy card game that everyone knows, Hollow Knight, and inside the, what do you say, not the sequel, but like a spin-off of Limbo. Every indie game that is popular. I think the first tree is something that is phenomenal, and it was made by one guy. I think you should check out the GDC talk of David Bello. This particular video, I'll just link it in the stream so that you can check it out. It's a really good video for marketing, how to market your game in Reddit, and how to use GIFs for marketing your first game. Not first game, but every game gets the traction that you need through the channels that he mentions in this GDC talk. And he got featured in Thomas Pinas's channel as well. Yeah. So, do you have any other questions? Okay. Then I'll call it a day, and I'll be streaming tomorrow as well, but I'll come up with something better. Do you want to continue this kind of stream where we take a game and take one game mechanic and use that? Like build that from scratch, or should we do something else? It's totally a poll. Something more advanced as in pathfinding, or what do you have in mind? Okay, you mean like a series? Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, do you want me to make the assets for the game in the stream itself, or should I like use free assets? Okay. Yeah, sure. A racing game, I think I don't have much experience making a racing game. I think that is one way, that is one place that I have never explored. I can make a car rig in Unity and make a drive, but I've never, what do you say, went into racing AI, which is super hard to make for me. I don't know for what reason, but I'm still learning that aspect of um, Unity. And there is something called machine learning AI Unity. There's a course on that particular. I don't know if it's there in Udemy. I think it's there. Yeah, this is something that I'm willing to explore. And this is Penny DePriel, and this is a YouTuber called Holistic 3D. I used to watch the tutorials for what do you say, pathfinding. If you look up Holistic 3D, you can get the YouTube. As you can see, this goes into really advanced topics. This channel goes into really advanced topics. Yeah, simulating orbits with Newtonian physics. That's crazy. Yeah, I think these kind of tutorials are more generic, but something like exploring machine learning is completely something no one explored, no YouTuber explored. But you can find it in this channel. I'm not sure if they removed most of their old videos. Yeah, I think it's true. But somehow I I don't think these are the number of videos that they uploaded. There must be more because I remember learning the car rig in this channel. Yes, procedural generation is really interesting. I've made some videos based on uh, procedural generation. I'll just see if I can link it. Something like completely random. Randomly generated tiles or something like tile map pathfinding is something that I really like explore. And even this is done with Playmaker. If you 3D Tetris is very interesting. I've never thought of that in that angle. Oh yeah, I can't actually play it, but I'll just link it. It's just it is pretty old, but it tells you how even a visual scripting tool can do something advanced using templates and prefabs, which is nice for making hyper casual games. If you're making one single hook for the player to hold on to, it is really good to make the levels procedurally. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, go and subscribe. It will help me a lot. And yeah, this is my channel. And if you have the chance, you can check out Playmaker videos and see if you can evaluate whether it'll be useful for your project or not. That'll be great. And I'm not by any chance an affiliate, but I'm just what do you say? Like I started learning game development because of it, and yeah. So 3D Tetris, I'm not sure if yeah, it already exists. I'll take a look at it and maybe we can make that in the upcoming streams. And thank you for watching. I'll call it a, I'll call it a day and I'll join maybe tomorrow or soon. Thank you. Thank you for watching. It was really nice. And I explored a lot too. I mean, I explored the what is it process of when I heard Clash of Clans, it was really different, and I I don't even remember the gameplay, so I had to go through that and pick up one mechanic. Yeah, thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next session. Thanks for the suggestions and the poll, everything. Yeah, keep developing games, and we'll meet in the next session. Bye.